let's unmute. Oh. And I have more than just myself. Okay, awesome, great. We are also live, and we are here in Berlin live too, so awesome stuff. And I'm going to kick off this evening with our community announcements. Thank you first and foremost to everyone who's here in the room that made it through that horrendous storm, managed to walk the 4 flights of stairs, I think it is, up here, and I hope the pizza was worth it at the end of that. So welcome to Pi Ladies. If you're not here for the Pi Ladies meetup, no worries, happens to us all. Walk into the wrong meetup. Feel free to edge out backwards now. It's okay. So I'm going to switch over to here, and hopefully that will still show. If folks are listening in online, and they can let me know in the chat if there are any issues coming up, I will sort them out. So our schedule today is roughly this, although slightly not, because unfortunately one of our speakers is not feeling well today. So we will just have 2 talks. So we will first do these announcements, and we'll have our welcome from the sponsor, which is Ecosia, which will be from my wonderful colleague, Martin, although I actually also work here. And then we will have Nicole with the Opt Green, end of Windows 10. Unfortunately, the next talk will be the one that we will skip. But then we have a fantastic speaker, Ola, joining us from Nigeria, who we will show on the screen here for people in the room. And that's about emulating user actions with the Python-based tool KDE GUI test. So after that, you can hang around a bit if you want. If you how you're feeling, there's probably more pizza left, and network a little bit. So if you're not familiar, who's anyone first time at Pi Ladies? Okay, a few people. So I should probably do the slide, right? So if you're not familiar with Pi Ladies, we are a global network and mentorship group for marginalized genders, so such as but not limited to non-binary people, trans people, and women in tech. Our focus is on helping folks in our community become active participants and leaders within the Python open source community, and we welcome all skill levels. And this mission is really about promoting, educating, and advancing a diverse Python community through outreach, education, conferences, events like this one, and social gatherings. We're also really trying to make this about networking for gender minorities as a bridge to the larger Python world. So therefore, we are open to everyone to joining our events, and we really encourage you to participate. Pi Ladies Berlin specifically was founded in 2013. We have over 3,000 members on Meetup, although I'm not really sure what that means these days, but yeah, there you go, some stats. And there's 4 chapters in Germany, and we're always trying to encourage more folks to get involved. About getting involved, you can join us on our global Slack workspace, where we have all of our different chapters have their own channel. We also have different channels for jobs, for networking, for asking questions, also for specific topics. I mean, there's so many channels there. It's hard to keep count. But I definitely recommend, it's really easy. You just go to slackin.piladies.com, put in your email address, accept the invitation, and then you're good to go. We ourselves are running regularly monthly meetups with talks such as this evening. We sometimes do full-day workshops. If you're not aware, on Saturday, we're going to do a workshop open space where you can come and learn about how to convert your machine from Windows to Linux, especially because of the Windows end of 10 campaign, which we're going to hear more about from Nicole shortly. We also do setup events to get started with coding. So we know that that's a big barrier for some folks. Connection to companies, right? We're often looking for jobs or maybe new opportunities. And honestly, anything that you can dream of and make happen. So obviously within reason. Our next meetup is going to be in July and will be at Babel, but the date for this, I think, is still open. There is also EuroPython coming up. next month, which is in Prague. I can highly recommend attending it. And later this year in Berlin, there will be PyData, so right at the very start of September. You can also volunteer at PyData Berlin. When I was first getting into tech around 7 years ago, I also volunteered at this conference, and it was a really great experience. So as I mentioned, this is an open space. We welcome everyone. We believe knowledge is for all, but at the same time, this is an event primarily focused on empowering gender minorities. So by attending one of our events or being in the spaces that we occupy, you are agreeing to our code of conduct. And the short version is that we are dedicated to providing a respectful, harassment-free community for everybody here, and we do not tolerate harassment of any type. So if you should experience, and I hope you do not, but if you should have an experience that makes you feel uncomfortable or that you're unsure about, or if you observe such an experience, please feel to reach out to one of us. We do take it very seriously, and that is what keeps our community a safe space that everyone gets to enjoy. On a similar note, a huge part of what we're doing with these meetups is networking and connecting with others. And like I said, this is a safe and inclusive space that we're trying to create. So some people in the room, some members of our community are very happy to connect on platforms like LinkedIn and so forth. But please be really mindful that not everyone is comfortable with unsolicited requests. So a couple of tips that I would generally offer is don't make connecting the first thing that you ask. Normally ask their name or what they're doing first. Offer a clear, pressure-free way to decline. So sometimes you might ask like, oh, can we connect? But then they might feel that they don't have the option to say no to you. So if you can do it in a way that gives it like a really low pressure, like, hey, we can or cannot connect, I think that kind of lowers some of the pressure that people feel. And to be honest, if you're unsure if you should ask, don't ask. Like, then it's probably just not appropriate. You'll probably see the person at another event and maybe you'll connect with them in a different way. So like this, of course, applies to us all, myself included. But I want to like really talk to the allies here in the room, because I think you have both the opportunity to support us with this, but also the responsibility to help us uphold this as a safe space. So like we do have people who don't come because they have these experiences. So again, if you experience it or you see it happening, please let us know. And also be aware that we don't share your data, but your data on Meetup is not private. Anyone with a premium account can see everybody that is listed as attending the event, which, like, honestly, in my opinion, is not a great model. But we can't do anything about that. We're discussing perhaps different platforms, but at the moment, that's the platform we use. So if you don't want your data shared in that way, which is very understandable, change your username on Meetup. It's very easy to do, and then you have like less opportunity for these kind of things. We're going to take photos during the event, and it's for our social media. If you want to opt out, totally fine. Just let me know. And it would be great to have more of you involved. So you can give a talk, you can help organize a meetup, you can be a coach. Thank you, Mika, already offering for the one on the weekend. Amazing stuff. And you can join the organizing team. We welcome everyone to join the organizing team. I'm sorry to call you out, but Christian is a huge help for our organizing team. So you don't have to per se identify as a lady to do that. If you want to give a talk, we have on the slides here the QR code to come and speak at one of the upcoming events. Oops, sorry. And one thing, if you're like, oh, but I can't give like a huge technical talk, that's not me. I'm not at that point in my journey, or I just don't want to. We also really welcome like a short talk format where you can come and give like a 5-minute talk about something that we would call non-coding superpowers or foundational skills. So maybe it's like how to ask someone to connect on LinkedIn, or maybe it's like how to prepare for a job interview, or how to use a LLM coding assistant, because like that's hot this time of this is the hottest trend right now, right? So if you can think of a topic that you would like to talk about, we would love to have you talk. So our speakers this evening, we'll first have Nicole join us. Nicole started at KDE in April 2024. She contributes to KDE Eco Project, which is Opt Green. In her spare time, she likes all manner of crafts, craftiness, listening to music, and spending time with her family. We will now jump Nicholas's slide, sadly. But yeah, you can read about him on our page, and maybe he'll make it back to join us. Orioloa is a data scientist and an open source enthusiast. She's an interest in data, AI, and has worked with Python to analyze data, build machine learning models, and develop graphical user interfaces for better user experience. She's also participated in various hackathons, helping her hone her skills in data science and fine-tuning of large language models to solve real-world problems and create innovation. I'm really excited. She is online backstage right now, so she is listening in, and we probably have to do a bit for rejig when we get to her talk, because that's actually the first time that we've done this setup. But I'm really excited that you're here with us to speak. So thank you very much. If you like the little avatars, you can create your own. I will now hand over to Martin to do the sponsor introduction and tell you all about this wonderful company, Ecosia. I guess you have to change what you're sharing.
Wonderful. Thank you all for coming to see us this evening and be with us, be it online or in person. My name is Martin. I work as an engineering manager here at Ecosia in Berlin. Some basics for the folks who are here on site. There's toilets in that direction, through this door to the left, and there's beer and juice in the black fridge on the other side of the room. There's also pizza, but you've seen the pizza. We have many engaging, funny, and knowledgeable speakers this evening. I am not one of them, so I'm going to start with a short video.
This planet's our only home, but we're not treating it that way. Greenwashing speeches and pledges are simply not enough. We can't save the planet by being shy about it. So we're going all in. This means using 100% of our profits for the planet, not just 1, 2, or 50%. That's how we turn your searches into trees. When you search and click on ads, we plant and protect trees around the globe. But we don't just randomly stick seeds into the ground and call it a day. We plant the right tree in the right place, bringing back Brazil's rainforests, restoring orangutan habitat, supporting regenerative farming, and so much more. Always with local communities who benefit from the trees and make sure they keep growing far into the future. These trees absorb CO2 and make every search carbon negative. But we don't stop there. We also have our own solar plants. They don't just produce enough energy to power all your searches, but twice as much. This means more renewables and fewer fossil fuels in the electricity grid. Being all in also means protecting your privacy. It means being radically transparent about our finances and projects. It means helping you identify polluters as well as planet-friendly organizations. When everything you love is at stake, we go all in. Join us, get Ecosia, and be climate active every day.
Thank you. Yeah, we're Ecosia. We're a social business here in Berlin. We are an internet search engine, and we use the money that we make to plant trees. That's us in a nutshell. And who is this gentleman on the slides? It's Christian, who's the founder of Ecosia, and he founded Ecosia in 2012. ish. Basically, what he did was when he was finishing university, he was traveling all around the globe, and what he saw is how deforestation and the destruction of the environments really affects the local population. And when he came back, he wanted to build a business that gives something positive back to the planet, and this is where Ecosia is coming from. We have a vision in our company which informs all the work that we're doing, and it's a bold vision, and it's a vision that we can't do by ourselves, but we want to be a leader in that space. That vision is to solve the climate crisis. What this vision also does is informs what we do with regards to the products that we build and how we engage our users. So that mission is to create simple ways for folks to be climate active every day. We do this by building a search engine which you can use in your organization, on your laptop, on your phone. We make the same kind of money that every other search engine makes, but what we are doing is we are using the profits out of that business into planting trees all over the world to mitigate the effects of the climate crisis. You search the web, we serve ads, people click on those ads, this generates income, we use the income to plant trees and give back to local communities, give back to climate action. And that's actually that's something that we have offered all the time. This can't change. This won't change. 100% of the profits that we make as a company is for the planet, and we are very open about this. We publish our financial reports every month, where we basically show how much money we're making each month, but also where that money is going. So obviously, we pay the industry wages for our employees, but we were also paying normal taxes like a German company would. And we have operational overhead, but the rest is going into tree planting, into climate projects. And yeah, we are fully transparent on the work that we're doing, on the money that we're making. What is also different about Ecosia is we actually changed the legal setup of the company to make sure that this stays the same. So Ecosia used to be like a normal legal company entity, but we changed the structure in 2018 to be a steward-owned company, which means that basically Ecosia cannot be sold and has to dedicate the profits of the organization into tree planting and bringing back a positive impact into the world. It's a so-called purpose economy. There's other companies that have taken up this model, but for us it's very close to our hearts, and it's also highly very much structured how we are set up as an organization, and how we work and how we invest the income. We have been planting 230, I think we're almost at 234 million trees so far, in more than 35 countries, tons of active projects, lots of 900 native tree species. I have no idea what those tree species are, but we have actually people working at the company who will tell you all about trees each day, every day. And we have around 20 million users. We are also very much thinking about we were thinking about digital sovereignty, we were thinking about Europe and big tech. So one of the investments that we have made this year is to actually join a joint venture with the company in France, which is also a search engine called Quant, and build a European perspective, which is all about search engines joining forces, building a European search index, taking a step to make us less dependent on big tech from the United States and beyond. At the same time, we're also doing policy work within the European Union. So talking to legislators in both Germany and the European Union to look into how big tech is legislated and how we can make the whole digital economy a bit more equitable. And one of these topics that you may have seen on your phone in the last 6 months, 12 months or so, are the choice screens, where there's like this message popping out where say, hey, there's actually tons of other search engines out there. Do you want to use Google or do you want to use something else? That's something that will, for instance, come up if you have a new phone, you set this up, choice screen will pop up. Or you install Google Chrome on a device, one of the first things you're going to see is a choice screen. That's part of the policy work that we have been doing. And that's spreading across devices and across operating systems. Those 900 different tree species, we actually have a team who knows them all. And it's also the team that Jessica and I like working for. We are building that search engine, we're building the products, we're making the money, but in the end, it's the tree team that actually gets to spend the money, and it gets to spend the money in local communities in many different countries. They will set up projects that actually serve those local communities long term. The trees that you see on our website that we are counting, those are trees that have been around for at least 3 years. So we know that they will stick around. And we're also working with those communities to set up the tree planting operations in a way that is actually beneficial to the community. So it makes sense to keep those trees around. It makes sense to build businesses around the tree planting and the infrastructure. So while we have those jobs here at Ecosia in Berlin and beyond, we're a hybrid first company. There's like hundreds of jobs in other countries of like our tree planting partners that also depend on Ecosia. But at the end of the day, we're just a normal tech company with a tree team as a separate organizational structure. And in the tech company, we have an engineering organization, we have a product organization, we have operations. But product organization may be interesting for the more technical side. We have 3 different product groups. One group is about creating experiences that increase user engagement and retention. If you've been an Ecosia user, you'll see that we have now introduced in the last couple of months an opportunity to like set up an account, log in, and we're building further experiences on that login experience. That's what's happening in the user group. We have a search and AI group. That means teams that build the experience for our users when they use the search engine. They enrich the data that we get from third-party search partners like Google and Bing, and add like own widgets and information on top. And we also have the AI folks who will actually augment the search data with sensible AI and large language models additions. And we have the browser group, which are teams that are building Ecosia browsers for Android, iOS, macOS, and Windows. Right. AI is obviously a strategic topic, not only for us, but for the entire industry. I think for us, it's super interesting to find the right mix of features that our users find useful, while at the same time finding the right finding the right level of ecological footprint that those features are using. And that's something that the AI core team and the AI engage team are working on. And we will keep adding interesting but mindful AI additions to our search results over the next months. Yeah, and if you want to know more about trees, about AI, about Ecosia, then reach out to Jessica and myself. Thank you so much for coming here and for having us.
Mute it. Yeah. There we go. All right. How do we get you back?
It is there. Now we go to the slideshow. Now you can hear me. Good. So I'm Nicole. I want to talk about the KDE Eco project, which is called Opt Green, which is funded by the Umweltbundesamt, the governmental environmental agency. I find that very difficult. It's like a tongue twister. And I have Joseph with me, who is the champion of this project and what we call him internally, the influencer without Instagram. You might have heard about him. So, talking of talk, I'm not a natural speaker. I don't give talks, and I often stumble over my words. I know what I want to say, but it doesn't come out right, or I don't find the words, so I have to apologize for that beforehand. So, sorry. Right. So, what is the Opt Green initiative? So, the most environmentally friendly device is the one that you already own. I guess that makes sense to all of us, right? So, but we often think we need to buy a new computer because our one is just too slow now, or has become slow, or it's not working properly anymore, or Microsoft is even telling us that we need to switch to Windows 11, but Windows 11 doesn't work on our old machine, so we need to buy a new one. With this Opt Green campaign, we want to raise awareness to the end user what impact software has on the environment. So I want to say something. I haven't used AI, so it's on me. So you can blame me, not AI, for all the drawings on the presentation. I wanted to use the AI/logo, but I've forgotten about it. So, the hamster wheel of proprietary software. So we have little influence about the software we depend on if we use proprietary software. We get bloatware and feature creep, and I guess you know what feature creep is? Does somebody not know what feature creep is? It's when you get a program and they add features in it that you don't really want or use. And that will blow up the program, will use more power, etc. And they will also we have abandonware, so it's planned obsolete. So they say, sorry, it's not working anymore. You need to buy a new computer. And this will lead to that you have to dispose of your functioning hardware. Means there will be a production of new hardware. Means you have to buy and spend money on new hardware where your hardware really is still okay, right? So now we have, we're often not aware of the impact of software on the environment. And with the end of Windows 10, there are possible, sorry, this is in German, that slide, that picture still, 240 million laptops that are going to get obsolete because we can't put Windows 11 on it. And if you think about the moon having a diameter of 3,480 kilometers, and if you think a laptop is, I think I calculated 1.5 centimeters or 2.5, I can't remember, I'm sorry. Then you have the laptops will be higher by 600 kilometers than the diameter of the moon. Stacked laptops, which is silly. Yeah, so, and it's not like 240 million people will say, I'm okay with no laptop, fine, I'll live without it. They will buy a new one, which is great for the economy, but not great for the world. And if you think about that, I've looked up a general well-liked laptop of Dell has put a report out in 2023. It puts out 328 kilograms of CO2 into the atmosphere, plus minus 70 kilograms, depending on various things. But the important part is that the manufacturing of a laptop alone is 86.7%, right? Of that. And the usage and the transportation and the disposal, if you see it like that, it's just peanuts, as they say. And if you then calculate that by those 240 million laptops, I did the math. So that is, hang on, 68,256 million kilograms of CO2. Just because Microsoft thought that's a good idea. And into the production, it's not just the environmental damage, it's also the inhuman work that goes with it. So kids are working in coal mines. These workers, men, work in a waste plant in Ghana, burning cables and electric. They're burning the plastic off to get the metals, and then to sell the metals on, just to feed themselves and their families, get clothes, stay alive. For how long? Well, I don't know. But again, does that mean it's the end of the world? Or is there a way out? Of course there is. With digital sovereignty. I don't know if you know Braveheart, the film. Some people might. So some people might know William Wallace and the scream for freedom. So therefore we have FOSS. And now I could make you all say hua. So FOSS, hua, what is it good for? The planet. So as long as your hardware still works, your software works. Okay. Your software will work until the end of your days. I have extravagated a little bit there. But the idea is not wrong. So your laptop, the hardware will probably not outlive you, that it will cry over your grave. But there is a German environmental report that estimates that you need to use your computer for 33 to 89 years to make it feasible to buy a new one if that new computer is 10% more energy efficient than your old one, right? That's silly. And so if the new one would be 70% more energy efficient, you can get a new laptop from about 16 to 13 years after you bought the first one. So that, I would say, keep coding green, you pie ladies. So you can see the proprietary word processor. You can imagine one, and you can see the open source processors. The FOSS is good for resource and energy efficiency. You see that the open source software processor, the open source processor, the open source word processor, there we go, takes a lot less energy. And to give you an example, this is math. I'm not good at math. So, what could be the yearly savings be for if 1 million people saving 1 CPU seconds? I had to learn all this because I didn't understand before, but maybe it makes sense to you straight away. So 1 CPU seconds is 10 watt seconds, and 10 watt seconds reduction per transaction. For example, copy and pasting in your word processor, or inserting a picture or whatever. If you do something like that 20 times a day for 230 days a year, which is how much we work generally, you'd be saving 46,000 watt seconds. And if then you multiply that by 1 million people, it's just numbers, I'm sorry. I find it boring, but the end result is interesting. It's 12.7 watt hours. I've just taken 1 watt hour, and that is about 5,800 kilometers driven in an e-car. The model that I've based that on is in that, you can see the link there, is, I believe, a Tesla 3. Sorry about Tesla, but that was in there. So if you multiply the 12.7 megawatt hours times the 5,800 kilometers per hour, you get 73,660 kilometers if 1 million people save one CPU second, right? And that gets you from Berlin to Hong Kong and back 3 times. And then you'd still have 9,385 kilometers left to go. That's 1.5 times around the Earth, around the equator. Yeah, and then imagine that if you think everybody who was using a word processor would use every day an open source, or would save just 1 watt second per interaction every day. Yeah, whatever. Sorry, that would be crazy. KDE has done something for that. KDE has a PDF reader called Ocular, which has been the first software product certified with the Blue Angel. Do you guys know what the Blue Angel is? Have you heard about it? It's a environmental certificate that is owned by the government. And it has these criteria, and if you fulfill the criteria, you get the stamp, basically. If I may tell it so casually. So that's a good way forward, I think. And you, Pay ladies, you're in the game. You can do that. You can make that happen for all Pay people. You can make that happen. So, FOSS, what is it good for? It's also good for enhanced privacy. Windows comes with a lot of ads and spyware, and this slows down your computer and lets companies spy on you. And with that, amongst other things, will build up your energy bill or bring up your energy bill. With a Linux operating system, you don't need an online account straight away to use it. And your data is not automatically saved in the cloud, just if you want to, but not automatically. Same with AI, it's not automatically included in your work. If you don't want it, you can, but you don't have to. And you don't have any recording. You don't have any recordings with recall that you get with Windows. So here we go. It's good for saving money. A new laptop costs a lot of money, right? The Windows license costs a lot of money. But all Linux operating servers for end users, the license is free, right? So, and the software updates are always free. So you can keep your money and keep your device and just put a fraction of that money and donate it. That would be great. And Linux or FOSS, what is it good for? It's good for taking control. Linux grants you those 4 freedoms. That's the word I was looking for. Those 4 freedoms of software. You can use it, you can study it, you can share it, and you can improve it however you like. The basic idea is you can adapt the code however you want it, but not everybody's code ends up back in the original code of the engineer or of the programmer who wrote it. This code has to then go through the loops of approval or rejection before it comes into the original code. However, that person who did the adaptation, could put out a different product with the original code, but with its own adaptations, right? So, and that's something you can't do with proprietary software. Something that's very important for some people, what is FOSS good for is good for gaming. Thousands of Windows games are now run on Linux, and this company Valve, I'm not a gamer, okay, good. They have ported most of their games onto Linux. And apparently many performances are either equal or even better on the Linux, I get the thumbs up here, on Linux than they are on older hardware. And today I discussed it with the community at KDE, and actually Minecraft also, I don't know if you have kids, also runs better on Linux than it does on Windows. So I've learned something that I have to take home. So, Linux, what does it look like? Any way you want it to. There are several versions of Linux to choose from, depending on your hardware and your preferences. So KDE Plasma, of course, I like it, and it's known for its flexible interfaces. So you can change it around the way, whatever way you like it. I've got here, from this machine is Fedora, and the other machine that I've got at home is Manjaro, and you can just set it up however you like. It can look like Windows out of the box, or you can make it look like a MacBook, whichever. So, how can you free your device? So either you come here on Saturday from 1 to 5 and save your data at home. We're not going to do that here. You have to back up your stuff. Bring your computer, have a chat, a snack, and upcycle your computer, and take your brand new old computer back at home. Or find your closest repair cafe if you can't do this Saturday, or you don't live in Berlin, on the endof10.org website. What is the End of 10 campaign? So, back last November, so 2024, Joseph had the idea on the SFS conference about that there should be a campaign across the whole of the free software world to make people to help people convert to Windows, and that's what it is. So Windows stops, or the support for Windows. No, they have extended it, the support for Windows, for 1 year now, for selling your soul, but you get another year. But then you have to buy Windows 11. The original date was October 2025, which is KDE's birthday, as well as, what's it called? World Recycling? International E-Waste Day. I think that's something you can't make up. You can see there are hundreds of places already in dozens of countries where we've got repair cafes, local computer shops, Linux user groups that are offering to people, we help you. We convert your computer if you want to come to us. Many have been added already today. One was there in China today, is that right? No, Japan, right, was added today, where we had to find a translator to see if that was feasible, but yeah, another one in China. There are many organizations that have joined to support us. I'm sure Ecosia will be there soon. Yeah, they will support the campaign. So, again, what is the goal of the campaign? You have your Windows machine. Your Windows machine is working really hard, click, 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 and blowing steam. And we want you to change, or we want to help you to convert to Linux so that you can work your working life with Linux, and then you can retire, drink a wine, and your laptop is still working. You can watch TV on it, and then in the end, your laptop is going to cry because you outlived it. Obviously, it's not like that, but I'd like to say that. So that's it. Thank you. Have you got any questions? Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes.
When we go to mobile device, how we can do in this regard?
Yeah, no. I would have to ask you. I don't know. We're working mainly on the for this campaign it's mainly the computers rather than the mobile phones. But I think it's a very good point, and I think it's on the way, if I should say. Is that right, Alice? It's well on the way. So there will be something. But you said you have got something on your mobile phone. I can't remember what you said.
Graphene OS.
Graphene OS. So there is something, but the idea is at some point you don't have to have a Google account. So not there yet. But other thing, yeah. Anything else?
We just add to that there are like Graphene OS derivatives for Android that do get support, and you can go to a place like Tokyo that do smartphone support here in Berlin. You can go on Mondays, Wednesday, Friday, bring your phone and install that Android derivative, usually without all of the Google load.
Thank you. Could you summarize what
Yeah.
you just said for the stream?
So for the screen, in Berlin, there's Topio who are there Monday during the week. Topio.org, Joseph?
Tokyo.Berlin.
Berlin.
Or Tokyo.info.
Topio.info. You can go to them and they will update or put an OS on your phone without the Google Wear on it. Yep.
You can also try post-market OS if you want Linux OS.
Okay, a post-market OS. Okay, good. If that makes sense to people, I hope it does. Okay, anything else? Jess?
What kind of adoption are you seeing currently through the campaign?
What do you mean?
How many people are doing this?
I can't give you a number, but it really resonates. If you talk to people, especially with the things that are happening in America, people are very concerned about their data. And at the moment, that's what people drives to switch to Linux. And as well as, I don't want to buy a new computer. If I have the possibility of keeping my computer, yes, please. But they have to know about it. And once they know about it and see that it looks like Windows or it's as easy and it's not a command line operating system anymore, they are fairly open. But I can't give you numbers. We have several workshops. I don't know, Joseph, can you get an estimate of how many people we've changed in the workshops alone?
No, we don't have
No,
any numbers specifically for how many computers
But-
people have switched.
Generally, it's
We have seen
really,
a lot of resonance.
yeah, it resonates with people. Yeah,
And we see like people hashtag end of 10, I just changed
Yeah.
my computer to
this here is the
whatever,
hashtag
OS,
where you can go on social media, you can see the hashtag, you see what people do, what Linux events or install events they do. You can go on the website, the end-of-10.org website. So, yeah.
With regards to like end user feedback,
Yeah.
that seems positive, but are you getting feedback also on an organizational level?
No, because that's not the focus. The focus is really to educate the end user, the eco user, about what impact it has and what the way out could be. So we're not focusing businesses. That is, yeah. We hope that could grow from the bottom up, right? So if all of you would work in one company and then would say, look, we're all using Linux, this would be great, then the company might think, but yeah.
What we are seeing is we have lots of politicians who will suddenly spring up and say, oh, we need to strengthen open source software and we need to have digital European sovereignty.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to see whether they put their money where their mouth is in the next couple of months, because that's what it takes, right? It takes some input from the government or from the European Union to really make this go mainstream and make this a success.
And therefore, we are doing the groundwork, right? We are talking to the end user, the voters, who then vote the people who will go to Europe and say, we need to do this. So that's our work, really, all of us work to do these changes. And if we allowed enough, the government will hear it. Joseph.
Can I just add on September 6th, I believe, Saturday, some people from Schleswig-Holstein are presenting at KDE's Conference Academy about their transition to Linux using KDE Plasma.
They're going all in on that?
Yes, exactly. And they'll talk about it in Berlin at KDE.
So just for the online people, at the KDE conference, Schleswig-Holstein will talk about their switching to FOSS or OSS or to Linux. I can't remember how I started the sentence. They will be there presenting what they have done and how it worked on the 6th of September. Yeah, the Saturday. So, you had a question?
No, I was just saying it's very cool.
Yeah.
Saying I'm going all in. I think you need the organisations to get that scale of action.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you invited them to the Saturday thing? They can come, right?
Who?
Everybody here.
Everybody here? Yes, I did that here. So, I didn't do it there. Hang on.
You did do that.
I did.
You had a slide there.
Yes. I can show it again. Just for you, Alish.
That's good, I know what it is.
But you know.
If everybody does that.
No. But just to remind you of all my presentations. Here. So, if you know somebody, it doesn't have to be for you, but if your parents are there and have a laptop laying around, or you have a laptop laying around, it doesn't have to be a working machine, the one that you use every day, but you can bring one that is under the sofa somewhere, and we try. And sometimes it doesn't work because for various reasons, but I would say 80% is about the number that 80% of the laptops can be transformed. Okay.
Amazing. I would like everyone to join me in thanking Nicole. Also, quick poll. Who thought Nicole was an amazing speaker?
Who would say
Why have you been holding back on us so long? My colleague who's watching online, unfortunately she couldn't come because she was feeling unwell. She was like, she's great. So I think you found a new talent now.
No.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, we will take a short break while I set up for the next speaker. So if you want to grab another drink, have some fresh air, maybe we can, I don't know, do what we can do, but and we will start back in about 5 minutes, so 35 past the hour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll leave that on there.
So, folks, sorry about the short break. Unfortunately, we're going to have a small change of the agenda again. Thank you for bearing with us today. Unfortunately, Oreo Lua is not online currently, and we're not sure exactly why. So we're going to kind of spend a bit more time learning about KDE and about the wonders and fantastic work behind open source software and what that means for us all.
Is it working now?
Yes.
Yeah, when you mute it, it doesn't work.
Were you muted a couple times before? No, right?
Apparently, I didn't know that, but yeah.
I could hear myself, so I didn't listen. But anyway.
Now it should be working. So I'll start again. So Nicole and I work for KDE in the KDE Eco Initiative. It's an initiative that started in 2021 with a project called the Blue Angel for FOSS, related to the Blue Angel Eco Certification for software. That ended in 2023, and we started a new project, OptGreen, in 2024, which will go until 2026. KDE is a laboratory for experimentation, doing new things, developing software in ways that are cutting edge, and we've been doing it for 29 years this October. And Aleix will tell you a little bit more about KDE, and then I will tell you a little bit about some work that I've been doing in the past few months that's related to sustainability and data management and software licensing. But first, I'll pass it to Aleix to tell you about KDE.
Sure. Well, this is super impromptu, so as you will understand, it's not really prepared. But I'll do my best. If you have any questions, stop me because I don't have a route, so I can look at the flowers on the way. KDE, in high-level terms, is a project that was started almost 30 years ago in southern Germany by somebody who really liked Linux but was afraid of showing what Linux was to his partner, and he decided to make it look like current for back then operating system. So he started doing his thing, and people started joining. People like me started joining also like many years later. But well, at the moment it's a multi-generational, we call it, project where like people have been joining and working on our different things. KDE started as a interface for Linux. Like, as you well know, Linux is a kernel, which would be like a component of that is necessary for anyone to use a computer, but that doesn't mean that it's nice to use. Actually, it's not nice. It's like it has no way for a human to use it. It needs other components to interact with it. And this is kind of what KDE does. In KDE, we do it with the help of a framework called Qt, which you can use with Python, which is what Nico was about to tell you today. And yeah, the desktop we have then is called Plasma right now. Also, as you will understand, 30 years, we can change names many times, and we have, but this is what it looks like more or less today. This is obviously with a lot of Windows, but I don't know. It looks like a modern operating system that you would find, and you can do more or less all of the things. You as a software developer, you as a doctor, and you as a, I don't know, a person who works in the garden, right? It's a piece of software thought for everybody to be able to use their computers and to enjoy free software and all of the power that we have in Linux without, well, having to be weird nerds, which in turn we are, but we try to use our superpower into making it possible for everyone to use their systems. Obviously, the thing you need is not only like the big UI to use your system. I don't know if it's clear when I say it's this UI. What I mean is like you need to have something like when you have applications, you need to have the rest around it, right? But when you have the rest around it, you also are going to need applications. So we do a fair amount of that. Here we can see, for example, well, we have Plasma, we have applications. Then since, like I was saying, people started joining us and like put their work that they wanted to do in our project. They started, for example, doing education applications. Gcompre is part of our educational suite. It's called KDE Edu. We have others like that. Blabplot would be another one. Also for bigger kids, but still kids nevertheless. You can see the colors, right? Krita is for artists. No. KDE Live is for people who want to make videos. KDE Live, for example, is a really good one. Like, also Krita is used by people who do like drawing professionally, and it's amazing.
I did all my drawings in Krita.
And Nicole. But for example, KDE Live, it's oh, amazing, cool. Well, then there you go. Krita, for example, is some people who were working on our Office suite back then, and they thought, well, how about like in an Office suite, you will have your spreadsheet application, your Word application, your, I don't know, presentation application. Then they said, okay, we're gonna have a drawing one, and they started doing it. First, actually, they were doing was image editing, and when they realized that there's other things in Linux that you can do with that, they went on the super tunnel vision of like people using and drawing with it, and well, they have been super successful. Like people use it in all over the place. One of the interesting things about how we do things in KDE is that we use Qt. Qt actually is older than KDE, and you can make your applications for Linux, which is what we leverage. But like you can also like make the applications and run it and make them work on Windows, on Mac, on Android, and 25 other platforms that you can think about. And well, Krita is also very powerful on all of these and definitely used. Like I was saying, KDE Live or videos, Contact for managing your personal information like emails, calendar, and so on and so forth. As you can see, like we have a little bit one product for any of the things, because in practice, what we try to do is to be able to like use our products across the board. So that's how we do it. And now you're gonna say, but wait a minute, Alej, how do I use all of this? Well, you're gonna need a device. Like Nico was saying, you can reuse one and put Linux in it. You can also get some devices that come with our software, and then, well, you can see a little bit what it is that we create without having to go through the process of installing it, which is not that hard, but it's also not that easy. That's why we do the workshop, right? Yeah, that would be a little bit what we do. I could be talking about this for hours, so I don't know. Give me a compass.
I think
We can leave
this
it
was
here.
a great intro, and then after Joseph has spoken, we're just going to have open time. So I encourage everyone to connect and ask questions.
Sure. Although he had a question already, maybe we can let him do that.
Sure. One question then.
One question. You have the question.
This is also a local thing, right? I mean, KDE is volunteers from all over the globe, but the KDE Eingetragener Verein sits in Berlin.
Yeah, but for example, I am the president of the thing, and I couldn't say that name, right? But yeah, like we have people around the globe, like America, in Asia, in Berlin. Yeah, we have an office somewhere around here. But we don't go to the office because all of the work we do it remotely. And it happens to be that they're here in Berlin, but like it doesn't need to be really. Okay, then your turn.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And we have lots of time. I'm not kicking you out after this, so we can keep the conversation going.
If we have lots of time, then can I just take 2 seconds to show this page that I think is really good?
Sure. Cool. Quarter past.
Yeah.
Your camera's not working either, by the way.
It's not working.
No.
That's fine. I'll take the camera in just a second. I just want to show there's a nice campaign page where, as Alex was saying, KDE does a lot of things for a lot of people, and we actually tried to like orient what we do in terms of the demographics who might be using our software. So we have this kde.org/for, and you can then look, oh, I'm a creator, or I'm a developer, or I work with kids or gaming. Click here and then get an idea of the kind of stuff that KDE is doing in that space. I just wanted to point that out because I think it's a nice way of thinking about software, because software is something we use, right? And this is oriented towards the use. So I thought it was kind of a nice way to think about what we're doing. And I also wanted to say, because it's related to the workshop on Saturday, it's kind of amazing what you can do with free and open source software, that you can take pretty much any device and in 80% of the cases get it working right off the bat. It's actually quite easy to do. That other 20% is because hardware has a lot of variables, right? And it's hard to like have everything work when you're just saying, bring us any hardware and we'll try to get it to work. Buying a device with the software already designed for it gives you an advantage that hardware will work well with that software. And it's something that comes up because we work in this sustainability project. The most environmentally friendly device is the one you already own, and that's true. I would say the second most friendly is one that's designed to work for as long as that device can work. And that's these devices, right? These are designed to run on free and open source software. And that means the software you can use that hardware until the end of the hardware life cycle, not the software life cycle. So this is already, if you're going to buy a new device, it makes sense also in the sustainability perspective to buy one that's going to work as long as possible. And you get that when you buy one that's designed to work with free and open source software. I just thought I'd point that out since it is related to the sustainability topic. I'm going to switch now. I'm going to reload the page and see if I can get the camera to work. I use this external camera, and sometimes I don't know why it just disconnects. Yeah. What I'm going to show now is not a presentation. It is based on a presentation, which you can find online, called Software Licensing for a Circular Economy. What's FOSS got to do with it? Which I gave at CCC, and I gave a very, very condensed version at FOSDEM. And then together with a colleague who works in data management at the university, we thought we would try to bring this together, data management and software licensing, and think about it from a sustainability perspective. It's not a presentation. So I have this paper, it's about to be published, I think sometime in the next couple of weeks. It may even already be online through the Gesellschaft für Informatik here in Germany. And I thought, since unfortunately Oilua is having connectivity problems, I thought maybe I'd take the opportunity and just sort of put the ideas out there. It's not a presentation. I'll do my best to try to make it something that's understandable without all of the nice pictures and stuff like that. I'm not going to read the text. That just helps me to orient myself to what I want to say, to see the actual paper here. So who here is familiar with FAIR? fair data management. So if you work in academic contexts, you have to, especially if you're doing funding, you have to write in there, we're going to manage our data following the FAIR principles. FAIR principles stand for findable, accessible, interoperable, and reproducible. And these are principles that are meant to make data that's produced in academic contexts have a longer shelf life, basically. So people can use this data beyond that single experiment that someone did. So the FAIR principles are generally related to long-term accessibility and reusability. And free and open source software is, in a very technical sense, about licensing to allow derivative works, right? That you can take the code base and do something new with it, right? That's what the license guarantees. And we wanted to take these two ideas because usually when you talk about FAIR, you're talking about long-term accessibility to data. Or when you're talking about FOSS, you're talking about like digital sovereignty. And I've been thinking a lot about what that means, licensing and these FAIR principles in terms of sustainability, ecological sustainability, which is almost never talked about. And that's what this paper is trying to do. We're not doing anything new with the idea of FAIR and FOSS in the sense of what it is, but rather what the impact is in terms of the environment. And that's what this paper is trying to capture. We basically go into the first part of what is FAIR and what is FOSS, which I just described, and then talk about the environmental impact of ICT. Nicole was presenting some of this. So most of the CO2 emissions are in the device production. ICT as a sector contributes about the equivalent of the aviation industry in terms of CO2 emissions. As a whole, that's considering things like LLM training, proof of work, cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, as well as device production, et cetera. When you look at the energy consumption across the ICT sector, most of that is in manufacturing, half, but there are other aspects to that. So ICT has a big environmental impact, and e-waste is a growing problem. In 2016, if maybe the data are here, 45 million metric tons of e-waste. I don't know what that actually means. That's a number that has no meaning to me. There is a report that tried to give that meaning. They describe it as 4,500 Eiffel Towers worth of material. That's a lot of material. And it's only increased. In 2022, it was 60 million metric tons, so a third more than that. And it keeps growing every year. So e-waste is a big problem. CO2 emissions and energy consumption and production, as well as usage, is a problem. And one of the things that we try to capture in this paper is this holistic idea of how data, software, and hardware interact to then contribute to the waste and CO2 emissions, or in other ways, if you flip it around, how they can reduce it, right? And the basic model, and this is what the talk I mentioned earlier, the circular economy talk, is trying to think about this in terms of here's the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. I'm going to add a 4th R at the end. So basically what you want is, in a linear model, you produce something and use it, and then you get rid of it, right? And what you want in a circular model is when you get to that get rid of it stage, the disposal, you want to interrupt that and put it back into the various stages before. So in the simplest is you just use it for longer, right? You just don't throw it away. You keep using it. The second, maybe slightly more complicated, is to reuse something in maybe a different way than it was originally planned. And then maybe the most requires the most work is recycling. So you take components of it and do new things with it. And so you don't often think about like the data format I'm saving something in as contributing to a linear model, but vendor lock-in is a real issue that keeps people from doing things with their devices that they want to do. So anyone who here has tried to convince other people to switch to Linux has probably come up across the issue of, oh, but I need this software program. And usually that's, I need a software program that reads this data format, right? So data format is actually a really big issue in allowing people to, for example, keep using a device longer because they can then install Linux on it. So an example that we use here in university context, you have a lot of laboratory software, only runs on Windows and has data formats that only works on that software, right? Which means Windows 10 end of life, using that example, that whole laboratory, if they need to use a piece of software that's locked in to the Windows ecosystem, means they have to replace all of those devices for a software and potentially data format issue. If they had a software program that could read that data, work with that data, they could then switch operating systems, a new ecosystem, and keep using those devices. So that's one way. So data formats have this influence on how long you can potentially, how able you are to switch programs or potentially switch ecosystems, which means it will have an influence on how long you can use a piece of hardware if that ecosystem doesn't support that data format. So what we're trying to do is this interoperable part of the FAIR, so findable, accessible, interoperable, has an influence on also things like hardware longevity, if you get locked into a certain piece of software. So by having data that is interoperable, you avoid that problem. So FAIR, in this sense, has an ecological aspect to it. It allows people to make choices about the software they use and potentially the hardware they're using. Reuse here, we are thinking about an academic context. So when you run an experiment or a simulation, which is typical, and sometimes there are simulations that are very computationally expensive in high-powered computing environments where you're running something that takes days to compute on supercomputers. If that's not accessible for other people to look at, all of that energy that was used to do that ends up becoming something that has to be repeated if someone else has that same question, right? If it's not findable, if you can't do something with it after that simulation or that experiment has been run. So that is a way to reduce redundancy, right? By making the data fair. Similarly for FOSS, when you develop software, as one example, you're going to be going through perhaps CI/CD pipeline, which is going to run a bunch of tests on the software that you are developing. If someone else is doing something similar, they can take what you've already done and do something with that doesn't require redoing all of those things, right? So having software that's licensed in a way that allows that derivatives makes it so you can start from the second step and not from the beginning, right? And then recycling, I actually really like the example of thinking about software. The new M series chips from Apple are being reverse engineered by some very clever people in Asahi Linux group. They're doing this really, really clever work of making the M series chips work with Linux. They don't have to program all of the software that makes an operating system, that makes all the applications, because they can take KDE's software stack, combine it, reuse it in a way with their very specific work on reverse engineering these chips, and they can give you a fully functioning operating system for a new piece of hardware, right? That's an incredible thing that you can do with free and open source software, which you cannot do with proprietary software. And that then puts you back into the entire stage there where you get to use and dispose, where then you can use it for longer because now that hardware has support for software that can then be updated until the end of the hardware operating life. You can reuse it, et cetera, et cetera. So recycling, yeah. She is. Okay, then I'll stop.
Just wrap up.
I'll wrap up in one last, the fourth R, and then, yeah. And the fourth R, so the reduce, reuse, recycle is the famous 3 Rs. But we wanted to put in here, we think that it's not just saying it's enough to use fair and FOSS or to make sure your data is released under fair principles and your software has a free and open source software license, but that you also rethink the way you're doing things, because you can do all those things, but then not think about how you're using generative AI, and that's extremely computationally expensive, and maybe is negating everything that you tried to save by being conscious of these things. That you rethink it. What do you need to do? Are you doing it purposefully? Right? It's not about, in this academic context, we didn't want to say, don't use tools that help your research, but do it purposefully. Do it knowing that that this is something that you want to do. And so in this way, we make this argument that fair and FOSS is not just good for long-term accessibility and reusability in terms of data management or derivatives in terms of free and open source software licensing, but also in terms of the ecological benefits that can come by adopting these principles in an academic setting. So that's the paper, and thanks for listening. I hope it was understandable, and yeah, thank you.
Are you open at the end if people want to ask you questions?
Yes.
Or find you anywhere?
I'll be here, so we
Okay.
can also open it up.
So,
Hi, Oyelua.
yeah, leave that 1 second. So
Yes.
just for the folks online, our second speaker, but now fourth speaker, has reconnected. So we will switch over now to show that also here for people in the room.
Should I disconnect here?
Hey, you should be live now. We see your screen, but it is the restream that we see, not your slides.
Okay. Okay, so can you see my screen on my slides?
Yeah, this is perfect.
Okay, great.
I just have to do one thing here for folks in the room so they can also hear you. So could you say something?
Okay.
Yeah. Say something now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we are seeing thumbs up in the room. They can hear you. And I will just, if you want to make your screen full screen, I will leave the stream and make you full screen here. And then you can start whenever you're ready. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay. Okay, so I'm Oroluwa. I'm speaking from Nigeria. I'll be walking us through emulating user actions using a Python-based tool called KDE GUI test. So what is KDE GUI test? KDE GUI test is an automation tool. It allows users to record their actions on the graphical user interface of an application. It is being developed as part of the KDE Echo initiative to create automation scripts for measuring the energy consumption of softwares. This tool leverages three core Python technologies, which are PyImpute. First of all, PyImpute provides a cross-platform input simulation in the sense that it captures events across different operating systems. Then we have PyQt5, which is a framework used to create the graphical user interface of this particular tool. Then we have Dbus. Dbus facilitates a direct communication with the KDE environment. I would like to give us a brief demo of what KDE GUI test looks like. I'll be emulating my actions using this tool on a PDF reader called Okla, and I will be going through these different scenarios like reading patterns like scrolling and changing different view modes. Just a quick one. So this is the interface of the Python-based tool, and I'll be opening a PDF document. So first of all, we have to emulate our actions, we need to define our window, which is this PDF reader. I'll need to define this area. So when I define it, I click on it, and I'm going to guess the coordinates of this window. So if I open it in another, if I open this PDF reader in another position, I still get this whole window interface here. Then I capture the add click, which means that anywhere, any area I click on this window, it captures it. So I'm going to click on that. Let's say view modes. I want to change my view modes. So I also get real-time data of the coordinates I had captured. I'm going to be clicking on facing pages. Then maybe I want to change the fit. Let me put it to like 25%. Just playing around with things. But it's going to be capturing the different coordinates I'd click on. Then I stop the clicks. What again? For now, I could just go with this, and for me to run it, I would transfer it to the final script, which this is like a interface where if I want to edit my my scripts, probably I want to change something, I can change it here. Then I save it. Okay, we could give this KDE, just KDE, or I could put one more E to it. So I save it. Then I try to run it. Let me select. Yeah, so I have my KDE. So yeah, this is it. I will try to play those actions again just by running the scripts. I click on this. Oh, that was like a bug. Just a minute. Let me try this. Oh. Okay, this is like a bug I was having before the event, but it's worked earlier. I don't know, but I'll look into that again. So yeah, I'll move on into like the core technologies. I'd said earlier that we have PyImpute. So PyImpute is one of the technologies that captures the mouse clicks, and it captures this in real time. Different mouse activities like drag, scroll, and keyboard input. And we have PyQt5, which connects the user actions to the buttons, those buttons I clicked on. So it has this event driven programming, in the sense that it records user actions only when I click on a button. So it triggers the pi input to record my next action whenever I click or I press or scroll. And we have dbus. Dbus is a Python technology, I mean, library also, that enables direct access to the KDE desktop services. And moving on, we have why KDE GUI test. So KDE GUI test is part of the KDE Echo initiative, and it aims to put free software. It aims to put free software at the forefront of energy efficient softwares. It helps free software to fulfill the Blue Angel Award criteria, which is an eco environmental label that is under the German government, that provides a benchmark for sustainable software design. There are three steps of the eco certification. First, we have measure, analyze, and certify. We measure the energy consumption in a lab setup of two computers and a power meter, with the first computer used as a system under the test, and the second computer as the data aggregator or evaluator. We measure this energy consumptions in three modes. First, the baseline, which is the operating system only. And the next one, we measure it in a idle mode, which is when the application is being idle, and we have standard usage scenario, which is we measure that while the application is being used. So standard usage scenario are typical or frequent actions taken by a user on the application. Next up, we have analyze. Um, by we taking like data analysis using the open source software, uh, kind of, yeah, the open source software consumption analysis in R programming, and it is being developed by Umwelt Campus Beaconsfield. We analyze the idle and standard usage modes, then the energy consumption and hardware performance results. Then we certify. We certify by submitting a report on that's really like that really fulfill the Blue Angel criteria. Then next of in preparing our standard usage scenarios, which I said earlier um is like a script that's really like it captures the frequent or typical actions on a particular graphical user interface of a software. First, we identify the taxes these users carry out when using an application. So we know that this is standard or this is typical of users. And we create a flowchart of actions that will take at least 5 minutes to complete. We then test the final version of the usage scenario at a measurement lab. We identify functions that are most typical or require high energy demands. Then we emulate these actions with tools like KDE GUI test, which is an emulation tool. So next of I'm going to be looking at what this measurement looks like. So the usage scenario script, we emulate user behavior, while a power meter measures how much energy is being consumed. The script allows us to make these measurements replicable, and we can directly relate the actions taken with the energy consumed. If we look closer at the I don't know if I can zoom this. Okay, okay, I think I can zoom this. So if we look at the graph here, we have the the gray lines, which make we where we had measured this energy like about 30 times, and this was possible with the script, because you can always automate that script anytime you like or repeatedly. So it's not like I have to go and capture another event. I can just run my script over and over again. And the red lines shows the average measurement of this energy consumption. And if we look also at the beginning, we have bumps. We have a bump here, which shows when we open the PDF a PDF document in Okla, and it shows that it has like an high consumption, energy consumption there. And we also have another bump here, which also shows that we there's an energy consumption, and this was when a document was closed in Okla. So that's that. And okay, so I was able to contribute to this project while I was participating in the season of KDE, which is an open source mentorship program. It is run yearly, and I worked on this project by enhancing and debugging the tool. I was able to create the graphical user interface of this tool, so it is easier for users to click on buttons and automate their actions instead of using a terminal or a console, which is really stressful, and it doesn't show us the real time script. So one of the challenges I faced while debugging KDE test, first, I was getting this error of platform not supported error when I was using the standard PyImpute library. Um, I was able to resolve this error by identifying, and I also like downloaded a custom PyImpute library from one of our contributors, also in KDE test, and this worked perfectly when I was and when I installed it um, on the tool. So the second issue I also faced was connecting the commands, which the commands in the sense that the buttons where we have define window, add clicks, stop clicks, and all of that. I For it to work, I had to implement signals and slots in PyQt5. So signals and slots are the event driven program or technique that helps. So whenever if I click on add click, is in a way that PyImpute runs, in the sense that it captures the events, it captures everything I do, but it doesn't just capture anytime, any day. It's just it only happens when I click on a particular button, which is the add click. So it is because I clicked on a button, that's when it captures it. So I had faced issue connecting the buttons to the command, and I was able to resolve it using signals and slots mechanism. So next up, a call to contribute. I said earlier that I was a contributor, not I was, I'm still a contributor, and it was really amazing for me because it was my first time in open source, and I got to work with really amazing people, and I got to learn about new technologies like PyImpute, PyQt5, and all of that, which I had no idea about before. So getting started is simple. You need to join the community. You can connect with us on the Matrix channel. We have KDE test where we talk about the whole architecture or framework of the tool. We also have KDE Echo, which is a sustainability. It talks about the whole sustainability initiatives and all of that. And we have the measurements lab dev, which where we mostly talk about the energy consumption and measurement and all of that. Then you introduce yourself and let us know your interest. You can get the code from GitLab. You can just git clone. There are instructions you can follow. I also followed those instructions when I was contributing to KDE GUI test. And that will be that from my end. Feel free to ask any question. And I really hope I'll be able to show the demo again if time permits.
Heard us. I hope you do hear us now, though.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Did you hear the applause?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. That's the important thing. Lots of smiling faces in the room. Really amazing presentation. I also started contributing to open source through a similar project, so your talk really felt very personally resonating for me. And yeah, does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask? If you're online, you can write it in the chat. Oh, I see there's some folks listening in from Brazil and from Nigeria as well. So national crowd. Okay, we have one question who will project their voice, or it better come here.
Just curious, I missed the beginning of the talk, but I was just curious about the selection of using Qt5. Is there any limitation that maybe you couldn't use the newer version of the binding that she was mentioning?
Okay, so I'm not sure if you heard that, so I'm going to repeat it, okay? Was there any reason for the choice of Qt5 rather than Qt6? Like, are there any limitations with this usage?
Okay, I not at all. There are no limitations using Qt5, not at all. But the Qt5 I used was with Python. I didn't use the native Qt. So this was just like this was just me using it because I had basic knowledge in Python, and I wanted to create this graphical user interface, and I I wanted to like create this graphical user interface, and this was just me using Python with Qt5 because I knew I'll be able to understand the syntax and all of that better than rather than using my Qt, the native Qt.
But could you have used the version 6?
Yeah, I think she was mentioning PyQt5. There is PyQt6. I was just curious about.
Oh yeah, I mean, this question is coming from someone that works on the project, so I think they're very curious about this, as it is maybe helpful. But like, yeah, the question is like, why that specific version? Did you have a reason?
Not at all. No reason.
Okay, well, maybe you all can connect and chat about that further. Okay, thank you so much again for your presentation, and sorry about all the technical issues. It was super interesting, and yeah, maybe in a future edition we get you here in person in Berlin would be cool. All right, then I wish you a nice evening. I wish everyone on the stream a nice evening. We will close the stream here. Hopefully see folks at another future PyLadies event. For folks in the room, of course, you don't have to go anywhere. You can stay and mingle for a bit. All right, thank you, everyone.